Welcome back to another final chapter of the Mandalorian. Last chapter of season three, the return. Me and Najee here, Terrell and Najee, as we come to you and talk to you about and some of you tell you that we was right. Mainly Najee was right, and I was just hitting the mark every time about some predictions that I made the episode, last review. But hey, I'm here to say, hey, I was wrong. you, you know your Star Wars, man. I'm not gonna ever challenge you on that again. Maybe next season. Uh, but Najee, did you feel like this did everything you needed to do going into this last episode?
That's an interesting question. I was satisfied. I think I'm always satisfied. First of all, I think what the first thing that makes me feel satisfied in terms of the Mandalorian is the production. I say it each and every
Absolutely.
episode. And this episode was filled with action. From the beginning to the end, all of the stakes, and it was just really cool just seeing what you would almost call like a third act in the film, that closing fight, bringing it all home. So like on that note, absolutely. As far as storytelling, for sure, because this was about the story of reclaiming Mandalore.
Right.
And when you think about good versus evil, the bad guy versus the good guy, the Mandalorians put all their differences aside, and it was them versus Moff Gideon and his upgraded crew of homies,
Mm-hmm.
trying to steal the whole Mandalorian swag here. Like, they had to have beef on that alone. So like I love that as well. But also too, I just think like there's still so much more to so much more storytelling. Um the fact that this is still exists in the Star Wars universe, some of the nods and some of the gaps that they filled in here, learning more about the cloning process and
Right.
us knowing to the extent of where the cloning process went, you know. Um it did a lot, and I'll say my only gripe is that it definitely felt like a finale, but I sure as hell would have been okay with just one more episode. That might have just been the fandom in me, but like I think for the fight alone, for the storytelling, the ending, it all wrapped up good. But I think the fan in me was just like, oh, just one more, please give me a
Right.
little bit more. But like overall, it was a great season. I think people who didn't like it is because of how we were spoiled the first two seasons.
Right.
Everybody, and then obviously, like for the same reasons that people didn't like it, was the opposite reason of people why people didn't like Boba Fett. They was like, oh, I wanted to be focused about Boba Fett. Why are we doing this, and that? Okay. So then you want the Mandalorian to focus on the Mandalorians. Oh, I don't like that. You gotta
Right.
do this, and that. So beggars can't be choosers. But for me, I was satisfied, man. This was the last two episodes were killer. And going back and even to the earlier episodes, they were some bangers of episodes. But I think that, to leave us out on a high note, they nailed it.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest issue for me, I think, is one, you can visibly see the time counter. Like when you go to an episode, it's like, oh, 40 minutes. That's a finale. Like you're like, man, this is at least an hour, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
think like you keep track of time, like how much you want to get done within that 40 minutes. And I think people get mad because they expect a lot of stuff to get closed off. But over, like you said, overall, I think they did a really good job of doing what they needed to do. I'm
It
still mad about certain things, but I'll talk about that as we get into the episode itself.
it's it's
Um,
it's it's like the curse of like the fact that you get this to be some on a streaming platform.
right,
If this was in the theaters, you wouldn't have that awareness of how much time you have left.
right,
But I think it is like one of those type of things where it's just like, oh, we are aware, and I do it too all the time. And like there's nothing more exciting on the opposite end of when like a particular thing finishes and then you see an extra 15 minutes left. You're like, oh, something good has got to happen now.
right.
But I absolutely scaled it too. I was like, all right, shit, that's like 5 minutes on the credits. Like what we about to get.
Hey, you just never know. Like I said, maybe I could just turn it off for going forward. But like I said, just jumping right into the episode, man. This is the last. This is the 8th episode of chapter 3 of the Mandalorian, the Return.
This is the 8th episode, chapter 24 of season 3. I got you.
Season 3.
Yeah, you said chapter 3. I got you. Chapter 24 season.
Never did I think this. Maybe 2 at the minimum. I never saw this going 3 seasons, if not more. Just because I thought like the way they were structuring it was one and done. But once they started doing like the chapter format, I was like, all right, okay, they could do a little bit more with that.
But also too, I mean, like this show enhances subscribers. You know, right. I mean, enhances is probably not another word, but this show absolutely brings in subscribers. When you think about the big show for Star Wars, you need the big show for Star Wars, you need the big show for Marvel, and then with all the Pixar and all that other stuff, like you have all these different specials because kids don't really need like long series, but they need these specials to just continuously want to come back. But for the adultish crowd, you know, you need that Marvel show that's going to make you subscribe. Like, oh, Loki. Yeah, I need to see that. Oh, Falcon Winter Soldier. Oh, I mean, imagine how hot of a show that's going to be once Captain America 4 comes out now. So, like, you know, there's is it 4 or is it 3?
It's 4. It's 4.
It's 4. Yeah. Because Civil War was the 3rd. Yeah. So, and then like I think the Mandalorian is still in this very nice spot in the Star Wars saga, connected so many different things. And giving us the live action version of these characters that we've seen in Rebel and in Clone Wars. Is absolutely a destination, knowing that Clone Wars got their final season on Disney Plus, which was a big thing.
Yeah,
happy you know, yeah, you can almost nod back to like what Young Justice was to the folks that needed that last season. This is what Clone Wars was to us. We're like, no, we need closure, okay? Get this done.
You hit a real tough spot with that last one, but
now listen. And if there was a live action Young Justice, how you gonna act?
Probably the way I act while I was watching Titans, but
they tried.
Like I said, we jump right back. You know, this picks right back off from where we left off. I'm thinking they're gonna do something. We're gonna be a little bit far down. They pick right back up in the fight. We see Mandalorians running through the halls, trying to get the heck up out of there through the cave. Yeah. We see Axe flying back to the ship, which at this point, this is the point of the show where I started to question a little bit. I'm like, okay, and you know, we were talking about it, and I'm like, okay, so they didn't have enough fuel to chase this flying dragon thing, but they had enough fuel to fly back through outer space. Or maybe he just had the wherewithal to have a fully charged up backpack. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just something that popped into my head as the like, okay, they were pursuing that flying thing in the one episode, in the Apprentice episode, but somehow he was able to breach outer space. It's neither here.
Yeah, I got you right here. Well, remember, Axe was not part of that crew. He's part of the mercenaries who had the whole fleet of things. So did they have advanced tech or better tech? Certainly. True. So that, you know, it could be a possibility, but I think that's good awareness of the differences here. But I think it should be noted that if there was any doubt if the mercenaries were going to be on board, Axe fulfilling his part of this mission was telling, because he easily could have like, oh, I'm out. Good luck to them. You know? Nah, man. Listen, it's the lesser of the two evils here, man. And again, this is them reclaiming their home, and everybody is buying in. I'm glad that it didn't create any tension or some type of like whatever, like everybody was trying to predict, Terrell, in terms of folks being double agents and whatnot. No, man. No, man.
I was wrong.
This is the way.
Yeah. I was wrong, and I had to eat that. But yeah, man, like, you know, the reason I you know, what you were saying, like people kind of being double agents, because they made it a point to say that the reason why Mandalore fell was that because nobody was on the same page. And at that point, you know, I'm thinking everybody's going to kind of cut loose and like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this Empire situation, and I'm out. So that's when they had that scene. I was like, he about to get low. He about to be gone. But that was not what happened. That was not what happened. Then we get right into my man Din fighting for his life. No weapons, no strap, no nothing. having to go out in the wild and fight with barehanded. This is one of I think the best fight scenes in the Mandalorian, like throughout the 3 seasons. Like, no hands, recover one weapon at a time, some real John Wick, fight scene. Like, what'd you think about the choreography and just like the way they filmed this?
Pretty good and much to what I would expect. But it was cool to kind of see the playing field even. That's what I think was so interesting, is because typically, if it ain't the armor, if it isn't the Beskar steel, it's always means for them having the upper hand. And I kind of felt when Moff Gideon later on the episode said, "You take all that away, you're nobodies, right?"
Right.
And I was like, oh, he's making an argument here that it's hard to go against now that we see them fighting at an even playing field. But the training is far more superior, and it was cool to see seeing him fight from under, because we've always seen him come in and he'll take on a whole mob, and he coming out with the win. And obviously we're not going to have some people thought he was going to that Terrell, but like, of course not. But like, again, it was cool to see him fight from under. And really rely on his hand-to-hand combat skills. I was digging it,
Yeah, it was definitely cool. And one thing that I noticed throughout the episode is notice how the Mandalorians were fighting the troopers versus the troopers were fighting them. The Mandalorians knew essentially where the weak spots were in the armor and where to hit, especially when they were using blades, when they were using whereas though they were like
it's yours.
Right. They were shooting Mandalorians like in the chest, on the side, stuff like that. They was hitting like the neck, the side, which, by the way, the whole backside of that armor is completely exposed, right? Like, it's just they wasn't shooting nobody in the back. But I just really paid attention to that, like as how they were getting in the neck shots, stuff like that, like all the exposed points of the armor. And they were a lot slower too, like whereas though like the Beskar steel for the Mandalorians were not overly done to where they couldn't move, where I thought like the troopers, like they were kind of like bundled down. They weren't moving as quick.
And if like there was any doubt of that, understood when Moff Gideon was moving, how Moff Gideon sounded like a droid,
right?
Because he was head to toe in it, and he was a little bit more stiff. And obviously, we'll talk about it in a second, but like that's just to tell you the weight differences upon being fully equipped and halfway. So,
right. Like I said, we still got Din fighting now. Another thing, we get Grogu coming with his little Gundam, and it helps save the day.
No.
Which I'm like, how does he have time to hit no and still work the controls? But we see him come in and help out, fight the troopers, and we get a bit of a nod here to the Phantom Menace with the laser scene here, with like the scene where they had to disengage like the bridge.
Man, so cool.
Like, okay, disengage this one, disengage that one.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon wasn't rushed in, maybe he was still. But that was definitely, if people didn't pay attention, that was definitely a nod to the Phantom Menace and Darth Maul scene, which I thought was really, really cool. Also, this scene is also showing Din's more trust towards droids. That first season, he didn't want to be nowhere near him, couldn't trust him. He's working with a droid. You could tell he actually likes this droid.
Good point. Yeah.
So we see that kind of turnaround as he's working with him and learning to kind of trust him to kind of get through this whole situation, which, like I said, I thought was cool. They always have to do like a funny scene with the droids where they have like the little mouse droid.
Droid on droid beef, of course. Right. And I thought it was so funny because like the little droid pull up to R5 like,
cops.
Hey bro, what you doing? R5 like, first of all, it's funny because I think at this point now, throughout the Star Wars, and I will always say that R2 is the MVP of all the Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
he's literally been there from everything. But I think we have grown to accept that R2D2 is a human. Like we look at him as a human. Yes, he's we get it, but like we accept him as a human. Right. And I think it's funny because he has, they try to create these human mannerisms and responses. So like, I thought it was so funny when R5 was doing what he was doing, that when the other droid came by, R5 tried to like freeze like he didn't see him. He was like, Nah, I see you. Did he like shock him? I thought it was cool, man. I will always enjoy droid on droid beef, man.
All I'm seeing is another toy that's about to be sold. R5 about to get his package is due with the Din and Grogu three piece set. So, but yeah, man. Like I said, they always take the time to with BB-8, R2D2, now R5 being another highlight droid that has a cool moment that helps out the crew in some way. And he's
and
had
flies too, which it seems like a very like, huh? But like, y'all have to remember that at a point that when they discovered that R2D2 could fly was like a big thing. So the fact that he flew, I was just like, oh, okay, young man, show off real quick, So it was cool. Yeah, he'll definitely be on shelves. You ain't got to worry about that.
But yeah, man, like I said, that whole fight with them like taking out the individual troopers here, gate for gate. Was really, really cool. Kicking people off the side, like stabbing the one dude as he takes on 2-1. And then, of course, Grogu comes in and helps out a little bit. Really, 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 really good scene. We get into the whole next room where they kind of like walked over it before because Moff Gideon like walks past it and they didn't show what it was. I was completely wrong about what I thought this was, but it was clones of Moff Gideon. I didn't expect that at all. It was clones of Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like this they're setting up like clones like maybe the Emperor or something like that, but it makes sense for Moff Gideon to have clones of himself because for whatever reason he thought he was about to manipulate some DNA and give himself some superpowers.
I mean, it all makes sense. This is why this season did a lot of storytelling because like we talked about it and we kind of brushed over it, but like when he wanted to put together his army, he said he wanted a little bit of everything. Don't forget, his whole pursuit was trying to get Grogu, which is why I said we will not forgive him and his treatment to Grogu. However, he never had opportunity to do so, but we understood that was like one of the last pieces they needed. He needed to get Grogu so he can channel the Force in these clones and these troopers that he was making here. And then, of course, as he says, like if the one thing none of this has is me, so he looks at himself as superior in terms of being sort of just the molding or the foundation for all the other pieces that come together. So it makes sense. But again, when you talk about clones here, and obviously you could talk about clones in terms of like the Clone Wars and the clone troopers and whatnot. But then there's this other aspect to it that like understanding that like this whole project that they were working on and the focus of this was the start of the cloning for a lot of other things. Like you have to start thinking about, as I said, why is his name slipping out of my head from The Last Jedi? Snoke. Thank you. You had to think about Snoke and like Snoke, and then you had to think about Palpatine returning, and was, as you said, was Palpatine a failed attempt? I mean, was Snoke a failed attempt to do Palpatine? Snoke was also Force sensitive, so here we go. How did they make this all come about? Also, you have Palpatine as well too. So there's like a lot of little intrigue about this as well too, when you think about it. And then, there's also like, well, there's Admiral Thrawn that's also to come. When you talk about the Grand Admiral Thrawn and you talk about cloning and whatnot, there's a lot that this little walkthrough put into perspective in terms of the focus of where things are going to go. So yeah, I loved it.
Like I said, it's so much more to come. Like it's just so much on the table there. But yeah, they pretty much wound up destroying all the clones.
Or did they?
That was quite a big hint of one of the clones' like eyes pops open, which scared the hell out of me because I had my sound up a little bit. And but yeah, like it might be, you think it's gonna be like one Moff Gideon left. Oh, you killed my dad. Oh, I'm gonna kill her. But they wound up washing away all the clones, like you said, to our knowledge. And then they go in and they go fight Big Boss, as I like to call it. And man, this whole thing is just absolutely amazing. Just the way they did this. Moff Gideon goes into work. He puts his Darth Vader armor on, which was another nod to that whole thing because, like he said, hey, I'll go do it myself. That was a callback to another previous Star Wars scene. And as we get him turn around with the cape,
Yeah. Oh, it's completely Vader-ish, like no doubt. And and honestly, add the cart. I need this Hot Toys a sit scale Moff Gideon to get released ASAP because this whole suit and helmet is fire. But yeah, absolutely channeling his little Vader demeanor and everything.
Okay, go ahead and let James Earl Jones do the voice for him too. Like you said, like Moff Gideon said earlier, like you pretty much nothing without your toys, you know, like weapons. But yeah, he out here souped up in the armor, helmet on, everything. You know, got the hot rod. He about to fight everybody. So they have a whole fight with him, and all the troopers and all the Mandalorians come out, which was a really great freaking scene, by the way. Where they come down, they're flying down. The CGI, the animation for that, where everybody's flying around it and just kind of slashing through. You know, you got Bo-Katan out with the dark saber slashing through people. You got the armor out here banging people up with the wrench or whatever she was using, her hammers. Everybody's getting a great moment here, man. That whole fight, it was just so much going on between, you know, hitting the camera on the ground level where you got Den fighting Moff Gideon getting his ass whipped, and then all of the the Mandalorians flying in the air, taking out all of the troopers who absolutely stood no chance. Before I even get to that though, like we would talk about like Axe flying up into the sky to get back to the ship, which I thought he was about to ditch. He's about to get low. This
is the way.
I never liked the guy.
He didn't do nothing wrong. He just wasn't a likable person, but I don't think it was like he was a bad guy. He just, you know, he played with the cards that was dealt. But this is the way. And that's I gotta say it.
Yeah. In that scene where he comes and warns everybody, hey, get the hell out of here. Get to the other ships, get to the ground. They need backup. Did you think this was it for him?
No. Yes, but I'm glad it wasn't, because I am so tired of the heroic moves that make no sense. I love the fact that he was able to do what he had to do and escape. Any other thing, they're gonna be like, well, I guess I'm gonna go down with the ship. Bro, you can leave, just get out and just be done with it. But no, every single time it's like down with the ship. So I'm glad they did it the right way in terms of putting the shit where it needed to go and getting out of there. And also it was really cool to see that the Mandalorians had like a backup plan in terms of the harvesting that they're doing underground. So we see like a future as well too. But you know, destroy this entire little base that they got, but live to see another day, man. Which is again the problem I had with Paz. Like, bro, you have a son that you just very adamantly said we need to get back. And happy you got back, just for you to go down and die in a way you didn't need to. You could have left. Don't be the hero.
It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. We get our double team scene once everybody's done fighting in the air between Din Djarin, Moff Gideon, and Bo-Katan, and she comes in to help. And this scene is just nothing short of amazing. As they have this whole thing, and he's handling them both, which is crazy. And, you know, he obviously his suit has offered him like enhanced strength, which is cheating. But you know, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to win. And he's carrying like the Praetorian, the staff that the guards are using, and he's, like I said, he's handling them with absolutely no problem. Bo-Katan's out there with the blade, and then we knew what was going to happen. She tells Den to, hey man, I got this. Go do XYZ. Because that whole situation between her and Moff Gideon needed to be handled. I don't think it would have ended right if they didn't have them do the one-on-one.
I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things here. Like one, they're better together. So like showing the unity here was important because, you know, after he done kind of blessed her for being the leader, it was good for her to still come down and fight side by side by him, who we could assume was going to be the leader. But yeah, he had to go protect his son. Grogu out here getting jumped by the Red Army. What do you call them? The
Praetorian Guards.
Yeah, the Praetorian Guards. Like, go protect Grogu, which I said. Let me say real quick. First of all, they're the elite Praetorian Guards here. Grogu was screwed. Go protect. And I thought like how much time he was bearing. he was like giving them. I was like, oh, Grogu's screwed. But like they would never do that to Grogu. But I love how they kept us on edge in terms of like, oh my god, is Grogu gonna be okay? But yeah, he had to go protect the son.
I was like, are they gonna take him out the season? I'm like, oh man, people gonna be hurt. People gonna riot. They gonna Twitter, every emails to Disney. Hey, we done. We ain't watching this no more. Here come the toxic Star Wars fans, man. I never liked it.
They would have been so blown. Oh my god.
But in spite of all that, we see Grogu able to handle his own. He gets up out of there. He gets his little mech destroyed. He gets up out of there. He starts using his force powers to jump around. And
is that force powers for him jumping around, or he's just like
he's definitely using the force to propel himself for sure. Yeah. Anytime you see a Jedi like hit that double jump, yeah, they're definitely using the force to do that, because there's no way that he would normally be able to get up there on his own strength. So
I mean, this species could just be that agile. We don't know.
That's true. I mean, we really still don't know, but much.
Only have seen 3, and obviously Yoda is, the
Yaddle.
Yeah, he's the elite. Yeah, and Yaddle, who we haven't seen much of. So
you don't know. But yeah, like I said, we see him handle himself, and then of course Den comes in and helps his baby boy, his son, fight these guards, man. And they have a little tag team scene here where he uses the force to keep away with the weapons while he kills these dudes, which I thought was really, really cool. I really enjoyed this scene.
Yeah, and I got a problem with this because, like, where were you last episode, sir? You could have actually saved your dad from even being captured in the first place if you just had to use the force. Like, you could have prevented all of that, but like, it's better late than never, I guess.
Yeah, probably gonna force blast them dudes off the side. Yeah, nobody had to die. That was just the whole lesson of the entire story. Nobody had died. But yeah, they wound up taking him out, man, and which I thought they would have probably been a little bit tougher, seeing as how he kind of was defenseless at one point, but he wound up using their weapons and stuff against them. And daddy and son had a team up move. But this is the new father-son Kamehameha of the Star Wars universe, with Grogu and Din Djarin tag teamed everybody using the force and weapons. That's going to be the scene. But so we get Bo-Katan here, but she's fighting Moff Gideon, and sadly he's beating the hell out of her, and he destroys the Darksaber. I did not think was going to happen. He wanted it, and he was like, you know what, I'm just going to destroy it.
Yeah, so ass backwards here. It's just like, give me the Darksaber and I'll give you a noble death. Then he's like, now you don't have the Darksaber, so you have nothing. I was like, okay. Make up your mind up. Did you want it or not?
Very, very, very confused. So yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if they have the means to create another one. I mean, it's probably just gone at this point. Seeing as how much the Darksaber kind of meant to her, and when it symbolizes her as the leader of the Mandalorians and stuff like that, I wonder if they're going to be able to recreate that blade.
Yeah, big question going forward. We'll see.
But yeah, it was sad to see it go. Great toy. Great, you still buy it, but yeah, we wound up Axe crazy ass is flying the ship down, and he decides to go on his suicide mission. And like you said, thank God he was able to find an exit, because
he had it planned out. I wouldn't even say suicide. It was a very strategical move here, but like in any other means, it would have been suicide, because it's always like that, which is so annoying to me. So I'm glad,
I gotta go out being the hero.
Yeah,
everybody tell my son I love him.
Exactly.
So here we go. They wound up bringing the ship down. Bo-Katan and Grogu, and then wound up he uses his force powers to keep away his weapons. And here comes the ship, and it burns away Moff Gideon while he's in his armor.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
This guy can't keep coming back, man. This guy can't keep coming back.
He got clones. There's some reason the clones were shown. So, and granted, give me Giancarlo for 20 seasons if need be. I'm not complaining.
It's 2 episodes per season. 2 episodes per season.
Well, he had a busy year. Again, he had to film Godfather of Harlem. He had to film Kaleidoscope, which is on Netflix. Better some than none, because we know other folks would just be like, well, I'm busy, will not be on that season. So I'll take it. And when he showed up, he showed out.
As the ship comes down and burns him away, we see Grogu using his powers and shielding them from what should have been instant death.
This is huge. This is huge. You know why this is huge?
What's that?
Because this is clearly like, and I first of all I was sad because I thought we were getting ready to witness exactly what, if anybody, again, if
Yeah.
you've been keeping up with Rebels, you already know exactly where I'm going at here. This is very reminiscent of when Cannon died when he was trying to save his girl, when the clones came down, shot the little thing, and that caught on fire and blew up, and he's holding it with the Force and looks back at her, and then he dies. And it's literally one of the saddest moments in Rebels. So you start to think like, oh no, this is not how Grogu is about to go out or whatnot.
Yeah, because we've seen before in other Star Wars things, like when you see a Force user use that much of the Force that extensively, they wind up like dying from like the exhaustion of it, or
he just burned to death, because that's what happened to another Jedi. But on another note, as you can sigh relief, this is huge because now this shows you just how strong Grogu is. He is young, and him to be able to contain this sphere in this way shows you like he truly is going to become one of the strongest. So now it's confusing as to like when and what happened to Grogu, because if he's this strong, and Canon was like top tier Jedi, it starts to make you wonder, like, where is the ceiling for Grogu this young, doing what he did, and didn't even have one of those moments where he passed out. It was the kind of like, all right, cool, no problem, I'll take care of that.
He kind of fell back there for a second. I was like, no, he's gone. I'm like, no, they're not gonna kill off the most popular character in Star Wars right now. So
that's all y'all. That's all everybody watches these shows for, to see who dies. Yeah. You included.
They're protected by the plot. They've got plot armor, so.
or common sense. Just common sense tells you that some people just aren't going to die. They didn't watch shows just to see who died. I think it's just kind of at this point now, we can expect, we want more storyteller just killing off the whole cast and rebooting everything.
I got a question for you. At this point in the series and where we are, Star Wars, the troopers that are being used, are they still clones?
No. Well, which ones you talking about?
The ones that are with Gideon, like any troopers we're seeing at all.
And the clone. So he could be, yeah, his are clones, obviously, because all the cloning that's happened around him. But the clone thing is slowly but surely going away, as you know. Are you watching? I don't want to call it Bad Robot.
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. Yeah, we know that the cloning, because that was another question as to like, when do we kind of come off of like the whole cloning thing? And yeah, as that starts to become like proprietary technology, this is kind of where we're at with it. But Moff Gideon is running his own little shop of saying, I'm going to do this right. Essentially. So but as far as everybody else, I mean, slowly but surely you're seeing them go away.
Okay. So yeah, good guys win. We beat Moff Gideon, or so we think. Like you said, we had one loose clone that probably got loose, and we have the scene where we see everybody gathered, and they take the time to reignite the forge after a giant ship came down in the middle of the cave. So, but yeah, we reignite the forge, which is, this is the ringing of Mandalore. This is the signal that everything's going to be going back to where it needs to be. And again, I was wrong. The armor is not a traitor. She reignited everything, and we see Bo-Katan kind of raise her, whatever to lead the rest of everybody that's out here, because she is now the appointed leader of the Nighthawks. So, and then we get the award ceremony where everybody gets their new titles, and we see what's his name that died? I said it like 3 times.
Axe?
No, not Axe. The big dude was with the son.
Oh, Paz.
Paz's son is being fully anointed as a Mandalorian. He takes the oath, and then we see Grogu. He's now Den Grogu. He takes his father's name, and they explain that because he is not able to fully answer for himself and he cannot speak, then only his parent will be able to give permission for him to take the ceremony oath. And then of course then attempts to adopt him. Instantly, my mind is like, okay, so is this setting up like a season for where they try to find his parents? They try to find Grogu's parents, like we get more on this species itself and find out what they actually are.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I thought so too, but like, no, it's extremely dangerous if they did that. Let's not forget where Grogu came from in order to survive. Jedi aren't supposed to be out there, and if he is force sensitive, then well, we think his parents are.
I mean, at this point, the Empire's done. There's no reason for the Jedi to hide anymore.
Yes, always a means for the Jedi to hide because the day of the Jedi is gone, and the moment they come back, then everybody's going to eye in on them. You know, no, you absolutely can't. But I will say this: I love how the armorer is very, like, the armor is always allowing. So I love how the armor does not make decisions for other folks. But if you know the law, the armor is susceptible of that. So the armor is not going to say, well, here's the way how you can navigate through the challenges of what the laws and the rules are.
Right.
But if you know, you know. And if you know, then, well, this is the way. I love how the armor is kind of like, ha, nice move there. Okay, fine, we'll do that. And so one of my favorite characters is the armor.
Got to find the loopholes here. You know what I mean? So
and like, it's not even really the loopholes, essentially. It's just kind of like, if you know, you know. And I think there's a sense of like the armor being charmed when people know. And I think the armor loves Din because like he's like, Din knows his history here. Like, Din, if there's a way, Din's gonna absolutely find it. And the armor's like, well, you're right. Here we go. Just like, you know, I think the armor was like very excited about Bo-Katan wanting to wear both cresses. It's like, you want to unite the families. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll do that for you. So
yeah, it's cool. Get a pass. You can go ahead and take your helmet off. We don't care. You're both worlds. So then we got those different factions there. So yeah, we get everybody get the, like I said, every Star Wars has to end with like an award ceremony, and then we get Din working into the bar, and decides he wants to take a job working with the New Republic on the side because he has to make money. And while they're in the bar, they see the robots, the killer death machine robot that Grogu just lost, and says that he wants to take that as one of his payment, as he's going to be working for the Republic. So that's a really good setup to see like him kind of do odd jobs, even though he is like a bounty hunter, but see him kind of like slightly working for the New Republic on a contract basis to see kind of where that goes, because he was already kind of working for the New Republic kinda anyway. Yeah, he was already helping them out more than once. But like I said, it'd be nice to see kind of like more back to more of the bounty hunting side of the Mandalorian, because I found like they kind of got away from that for a while.
Yeah.
And then they take the story back to Navarro, where he takes the robot back, and is offered a piece of land, offered a home on Navarro, and so he can chill while he's off on his while he's taking a break from his adventures. And then we just see him and Grogu kind of chilling here at the end, and having a father-son moment, as he's fishing. I really like the way they closed that out. For the episode, they didn't hit everything I wanted them to do closing this out, but I think this is just enough to be like, okay, if they wanted to end it here, they could. If they want to open it up for more, which they probably will, because money and toys, they definitely will. Yeah. What did you think about just kind of it like wrapping up here, like where it goes? Like, were you cool with this?
Very safe, and I'm cool with it. I think there's enough cliffhangers and there's enough things to kind of predict and things so on within the episode, to have to give that at the end of it as well too. So very, very safe ending. No reason for a cliffhanger when there's so many implications that was already intertwined in the episode. So I'm cool with it.
All right. Well, like I said, it was the episode. It was a really great episode, really great finale. All action, Last 10 minutes is just, hey, let's just wrap up a little bit of what we need to. I feel like everybody had their moment here. Like I said, overall, a lot of people was not feeling in at first, but yeah. Any other thoughts on that before we get into a discussion of the episode itself?
No, man, no. I enjoyed the season, and I think I got it all off my chest here. So let's see what they got next season. We'll see what comes of Ahsoka and all the other projects they got coming down the line. So let's go.
So I mean, like I said, overall, a lot of people for the season itself, a lot of people, including myself, like the season started off a little bit of slow. I wasn't really sure where it was going, what was going on. We had a couple episodes that kind of broke away from Djarin, and we had that one episode that was kind of roping back in Moff Gideon because we had the one dude, the scientist, who wound up getting betrayed. Which I was kind of hoping they went back to that because now we got a loose thread out there that this girl who's worked for the New Republic, who was working for Moff Gideon. Where does she fall now that it's all said and done? And just kind of like now that we got these little spies that we know that we're aware of that work for this empire. Or the Shadow Empire, because we still got those individuals that are working behind the shadows, still doing cloning, trying to prepare for Thrawn and everything else. So like, where do we leave with that? But like I said, overall, I just closing the chapter on Moff Gideon in general, I think was a really good way to set it up. Closing the chapter on Bo-Katan, getting her back to where she needed to be, her rise to power. Finally them setting up their home back on Mandalore, taking that back over. I wasn't expecting any of that this season, but I'm 100% glad we got it. But overall, I thought it was a really, really, really good season.
Yeah. We'll have to just see when and how soon it is to the next thing. But I'm
season 4, if they decide to do it, and where does it go from there? I think the only way to really answer that is to see where Ahsoka goes. Because Ahsoka is obviously the next chapter. Because as we've seen from the trailer, Thrawn is in that show, so everything that's happening next is going to happen to her. Maybe we'll see a crossover from the Mandalorian, which wouldn't be out of the question. But I think that's the only really way to see kind of where season 4 goes is where Ahsoka kind of leaves off. Yeah. I'm not sure where you think the next season's going to go.
I don't know, but I mean, like obviously, they got a lot to work with. So I don't have any predictions, but they have a lot to work with, and I think that we just have to wait and see. But not that long. Coming very soon.
Well, look, guys. Look, you heard it here first. We just gave you this amazing review of what we thought. The next season, so many great things to come. Let us know what you thought about this great episode, episode 8, the return of season 3 of The Mandalorian, chapter 24 of The Mandalorian. And like I said, leave us a comment below. Let us thought. You've already been giving us so many good comments already. We'd be glad to respond. And give us your predictions of where you think the next season is going to go and what you think is going to happen next for our father-son duo here. On that note,
Din Grogu.
Great Din Grogu.
Peace out.
Like I said, this is the last for me and Najee. Hope to catch you again as we catch Mandalorian season 4. Definitely going to be talking about Ahsoka, so get ready for that because now we get lightsabers, and I'm happy about that. So, like I said, we definitely next season for that. But like I said, on that note, leave us a comment, and me and Najee will be catching you guys next time. See you.